Yo, so as promised, this is my continuation of my Sunnyshore League, which I have only uploaded up to week 2. But yeah, 1 year later, here I am continuing it. This is, of course, week 3, and it's against Robert. So here's our teams. Obviously, this is my team, carrying on from the last video, which is in the description, just to keep you guys updated. So yeah, I mean, I've got, total, what's his name, Tornadoes, Coco, Sizzle. I mean, I've been through this, but whatever. And his team, yeah, got a fair few threats. You've got Hooper Unbound, obviously very hard to wall, very hard to switch into. Obviously, Dracofish as well. Fishes, Ren, Choice Band, Strong Jaw. Megampharos, fairly threatening. Very high special attack. And yeah, obviously a lot of bulky stuff, which will be like quite annoying to play around. But nevertheless, this is the team I went with. So started with this Tapu Koko. So the reason for this is because Megampharos, as you can see over here, actually like destroyed my team. So obviously like when it just dies, Sizzle cannot wall it, it's too strong. That 165 special attack Thunderbolt, like it 2 KOs, even if I invest. Gudra obviously can't take Dragon Pulse, neither can Mamoswine, and also I can't take all the Focus Plus either. Chandelure, Dash to Stab. Tangrowth not bulky enough, Dragon Pulse with like 2 KO, even through Assault Vest, Slowking obviously Thunderbolt. Even like Spadef Quagsire, like a Dragon Pulse 2 KO'd. Fuck off with this stupid. I don't care if it's not genuine. I'm not gonna pay for Adobe. I'm gonna uninstall this PC genuine software integrity service. Whatever. End task, please. I can't even press X on it. Yeah, anyway, where was I? So yeah, obviously Megampharos is a huge threat, nothing on my team walled it. That's why I went with Tapu Koko. So obviously Tapu Koko's typing makes it resistant to Ampharos stabs, and obviously it resists Focus Blast as well. And there is no hidden power, so like no hidden power ground. And yeah, that's why I bought this Koko set. So obviously, his team is like very slow. I think the fastest one is Hooper. Actually, Shatu. Yeah, Shatu's the fastest Pokemon. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't expect like any speed on Shatu at all if it came. I thought that bulky, and that's why I only gave this thing like 16 EVs, because like without any EVs, it still outspeeds Hooper, Dracofish, everything else, even Shatu itself. I mean, not max speed timid Shatu, but like any other Shatu. But yeah, so I didn't need like any speed, and I went with max HP for the bulk, because like even with the typing, Thunderbolt under terrain from Ampharos 2 KOs this easily. So I went with max HP, gave it a lot of Spadef to wall Ampharos even better, and then I put the rest in defense. I think that avoided the 2 KO from Gyro Ball from Ferrothorn. That way I could taunt it and kind of like stall it out, which was important. So yeah, I mean, also I didn't think an offensive Koko was good against this team anyway, because he has like the combination of like Rhyperior, Sylveon, Ferrothorn. Given that I don't have HP Fire, it just made me doubtful that this thing would put in much work. Porygon 2 is there as well, so I just thought like there's no offensive set that I can really bring that kind of like blows through everything. So I figured this Thornbreaker set would be really good, and yeah, looking at it, it does do work. So obviously I can just like Nature's Madness and taunt like everything, and discharge whatever else, like discharge as just an attacking move to hit whatever's there. Nature's Madness obviously is to halve anything's health and kind of like whittle away. Also hits Rhyperior, which would otherwise wall me. Obviously I could run Grass Knot, but like Nature's Madness was important to kind of like hit Ampharos, Sylvia, and Ferrothorn and all that. And I figured like it wouldn't really switch Rhyperior into Koko anyway, knowing that Koko can run Grass Knot. So yeah, that's why I thought this bulky stall breaking set would be very good against him, because he has a lot of fat stuff and this thing can put in a lot of work. So yeah, next up we have Tangrowth. So obviously Dracovish was a huge threat, as it is to any team. Nothing could quite take it on. I could have brang Water Absorb Quagsire, but it was just like very mediocre against like literally everything else. Given that Sylveon's there, Cragster would just run like Earthquake, Skull, Toxic, Recover, or whatever. But given that Sylveon was there, Ferrothorn is there, Shatu's there, Rotom's there, and Sylveon even has Heal Bell to kind of like negate Toxic, I just thought like Cragster wouldn't do anything at all in the game. Like it would just be a sitting duck, other than just like sit there to take hits from Dracovish. But he could easily just switch it out, and yeah, so I just thought Quagsire was like way too passive for this matchup. That's why I went with max defense Tangrowth as well, which does avoid the 2-hit KO, so it was good enough. And obviously Rocket Helmet is there to punish Dracovish, to kind of chip away at it while I can use Synthesis. So yeah, I mean that's Tangrowth's like primary purpose in this team. And it could also act like as a Rhyperior counter. It's a good switch into Rotom Wash, and also prevents like Ferrothorn going for Leech Seed to get like recovery, and of course I have knockoff as well to knock off its leftovers and anything else. And yeah, the moves are pretty basic. So obviously we have Giga Drain to kind of just like as stab, gain a little recovery, hits like Rotom Wash, Rhyperior, one thing that is countering. Dracovish hits it as stab, and obviously knockoff is there as like the best move in the game. So I can just knock off like anything's leftovers or whatever wants to switch in. If it's running the Scarf choice, yeah, I don't have to explain knockoff to it. And then Toxic, obviously very useful, particularly targeting like Porygon 2, Rotom Wash, and whatever else takes it. It's just like a spammable move, and of course Synthesis was there to stall out that Dracovish. So yeah, next up we have Mega Sizzle. So Mega Sizzle's purpose. So I think this main purpose, defensive wise, was to switch into Porygon 2, because everything else, looking at my team, like couldn't really take like Tri Attacks or Toxic repeatedly. But obviously Mega Sizzle being a Steel type would eat that for days. Doesn't even have to worry about HP Fire. So that's what Mega Sizzle did. It was like a primary switch into Porygon 2, which could otherwise be quite annoying with like Toxic, Tri Attack, and whatever else, some Thunder Wave. And yeah, secondly, Mega Sizzle itself, I just thought it could do a lot of work with this set. So EV wise, it speed creeps Rotom Wash. That way I can hit it with that +2 superpower before getting burnt or whatever. And I believe the attack was enough to get certain KOs against the likes of like Ferrothorn with superpower at a certain level, Colossal, Porygon 2, and Hooper Unbound with Bullet Punch, I think at +1 or 2. I don't remember the specifics, but like there was a certain reason for that attack, and then the rest in HP for bulk, and a little Inspideath to just take, I don't know, maybe hits from Ampharos better, or even P2 itself, of course. Yeah, so that's what Mega Sizzle did. It was like something that can put in a lot of work against him, as well as be my primary switch into Porygon 2. Yeah, I mean, it does blow through him. So for example, I can set up on like a lot of things, and say I'm at +2, I can Bullet Punch Hooper for the 1-hit KO, Superpower Ferrothorn for the 1-hit KO, Sylveon gets 1-hit KO by Bullet Punch, Rhyperior can't take this, Ampharos would get 2-hit KO, Rotom Wash would get KO'd after a certain range, so with Porygon 2, using a lot, of course, Colossal, of course, with Superpower, and Shatu as well. So, pretty much the only thing was that Dracovish that could like resist Bullet Punch and hit it with Fish's Wrench, but everything else like took big damage from it. So that's why I bought Sizzle. And next up we have Drapion. So Drapion's primary role was to take on this thing over here, Hooper Unbound, the big threat. So obviously looking at my team, nothing else can switch in. I don't have to really go through it. Tornadus dies to Dark Move. Coco can't take Psychic moves or Gunk Shot at all. Sizzle dies to Fire Punch. Obviously Gudra dies to Hyperspace Fury. So does everything else. Tangrowth can't take on Banded, or even just special sets, of course. Obviously Slowking would die, so would everything else. But Drapion's typing made it resist like all this important move, and that's what it's here for. It's the primary switch into Hooper Unbound. It eases the matchup against it significantly. And yeah, just going through the EVs. So the EVs outspeeds Hooper Unbound. Obviously Hooper Unbound reaches 284, this is 286. So that was very important, because if the Hooper was like Choice Specs, Band, or Life Orb, it could actually do hit KO this set with like Focus Blast or whatever. So it was important for me to outspeed that set. But if it's Scarf, I can take the hits a lot easier, and obviously I won't outspeed, but I'll be taking the hits a lot easier. But Life Orb, Specs, or Band, I have to worry about. So that's why it was important for me to outspeed, so that I can just go for the Leech Life, 1-hit KO, and get a lot of recovery back. Yeah, so that's what the EVs do. It takes 2 focus blasts from Scarf Hooper after the rocks, and of course it takes on physical moves easily. Yeah, since this was its primary role to take on Hooper, the rest of the set is kind of like utility based. Obviously you got knockoff as the best move in the game. It's stab, it's remove items, taunt to annoy his fat ones so they can't go for recover or anything. And then there's toxic spikes, which is just like it's toxic spikes, you know, it's a good bloody move. Punish everything else. But yeah, that was Drapian's role. So we have next up is Chandelure. So Chandelure's primary reason for being added was because I didn't have like the best Sylveon Sitchins. Obviously Coco can't take like Hyper Voice well, neither can Tangrowth. Scizor can't take its new Mystical Fire. It gained Mystical Fire, so can't take it on. But you know, Chandelure can resist like both of that. And yeah, it was also like a hard counter to Weezing Galar because Weezing was also looking annoying with like spreading wisps everywhere, but obviously Chandelure would prevent that. So that's what Chandelure did, and also bringing a sub CM set looked like very good against him. You know, looking at his fat mons, I have like plenty of opportunity to set up. I can set up on Sylveon, Porygon 2, Weezing, Ferrothorn. Yeah, just like a lot of stuff that I can sub on for free and then just start calm minding. So that's what this set did. I gave it a flame body so I don't get hard walled by Trace Porygon 2, because obviously if it traces Flash Fire, then it's immune to the fire move, and of course it is immune to Shadow Ball because it's a normal type. So that's what I carefully planned for. Max speed to hopefully win the speed tie against Tupa, and of course outspeed Dracovish. Max HP let me sub on like Porygon 2, Sylveon, and the likes a lot better. There was a certain benchmark it hit, so I just went with max HP. And of course, you know, after a certain amount of Calm Minds, the EVs in special attack wouldn't matter anyway. And given that my plan was to go for a Calm Mind sweep, special attack EVs weren't that important because I was planning to just set up like 2 or 3 Calm Minds. Yeah, so that's what Chandelure did. It looked like it could destroy him. It filled in a certain role, switched into Sylveon and Weezing Galar, and then just go on to like potentially 6-0 him. So lastly, we have Mammosign. So Mammosign is basically there to kind of like glue the team together. We've got obviously we've got Stealth Rock, which we did not have at this point, so that was very important. We did need a ground type to prevent like 3 Volt switches on Rotom and Ampharos. Otherwise they were like having a field day. Like even with Coco there, Ampharos could just freely Volt switch, so we did not want that happening. Also, it just looked like a very good disruption mon against his team. For example, we got that freeze tries to catch Rotom Wash. You've got knockoff to just be annoying in general. And I did not need Ice Shard because his team was like very slow anyway. I didn't really see myself in a situation where I needed to click it. So that's why I went with knockoff, because it was like a great mid. I just saw it in like a lot of situations where it would be like a perfect mid-ground play, especially with Rotom there. So yeah, for example, if I'm up against like Ampharos and the switch to Rotom is obvious, I could just like knock off whatever Rotom was holding and then hit it with Freeze Ray the next turn. So yeah, that's what Ampharos did. It rounded off the team, it gave rocks, and in general it was just there to kind of like hit hard and just disrupt his whole strategy. So yeah, on to the battle now. So here's the battle. His team is pretty, kind of expected. I expected like Hooper, Rhyperior, P2, Ampharos, Rotom Wash. But there is no Dracovish, which was quite surprising. So Tangrowth didn't look too important here, but I could still switch into like Rotom and Rhyperior. But nonetheless, it does look like a good matchup, and I am confident going into this. So turn 1, I lead Mamo, thinking like it's good against most of his Pokemon. Obviously, knock off Porygon 2, Earthquake, Ampharos. How do I turn off the cries? Music off? Or yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a day. But yeah, obviously, Rhyperior was a good lead. Mammosign was a good lead against like most things. Plus, I did have a chance to get up Stealth Rock early, so yeah. That's why Mama-san was the lead here. So he leads Rotomosh. So obviously this isn't good for me. I do have freeze dry, but obviously it doesn't want to KO, and I don't want to take a wisp or a hydro pump. So I just make the safe switch to Tangrowth, and he goes for a hydro pump, which misses. Doesn't really matter. And here I just go for a safe knockoff. He's gonna switch out, and you know it does pay off because I knock off this thing's Eviolite. So that's obviously huge. Makes it a lot less bulky. So now, you know, not wanting to take an Ice Beam on this Tangrowth, which has like no Spadef investment or a Toxic, I go to Mamoswine, who doesn't mind taking either of them. Obviously resists Ice Beam through Thick Fat and doesn't mind Toxic because it's a Pokemon that doesn't need like a lot of longevity throughout the battle. But yeah, he reveals Teleport, so he gains the momentum here and goes right to Rotomosh again. So, you know, turn 4, I go to Coco. So the reason here is because I think this is just a standard Rotom set with like Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, Wisp, and Defog or something. So I thought, you know, my Spadef Coco has no problem against this, so I just switched to Coco. But he reveals a Trick Scarf. He reveals Trick Scarf, and that's obviously very bad for me because I did not expect that at all. But at the same time, it's a good thing I didn't go Tangrowth because Tangrowth would not like Scarf at all. Yeah, so turn 5, I figure best thing I can do is go for Nature's Madness. I can halve this thing's health, or whatever comes in I can halve their health. That would be like very useful. And I don't really want to lock myself into anything else, especially Discharge because my period is there. So yeah, I go for Nature's Madness and cut this Rotom in half as he Volt Switches out. Yeah, so here he sends in the Ampharos. I think that's an interesting play, but knowing my Coco can wall this Ampharos, you know, it was designed to do just that. I just stay in and go for Nature's Madness and halve its health. And as I do that, he reveals Cotton Guard, which I think is interesting. So I can't kill it because I'm not in from Nature's Madness, so I can't really kill it. So I go right to Mamoswine. As you know, I can live any hit from this Cotton Guard and Ampharos. I don't think he's going to go for Focus Blast. I don't think he even has Focus Blast on a Cotton Guard set. So yeah, I go to Mamoswine as I can freeze dry away as he goes for Thunderbolt. So yeah, I mean, I'm immune to that. So here I'm thinking, you know, I can take at least one hit from this. He doesn't have Focus Blast. I was confident he doesn't have Focus Blast because he has like Cotton Guard, Thunderbolt. So I'm thinking if he has Cotton Guard, he must have Rest. So I'm thinking Thunderbolt, Cotton Guard, Rest, and Dragon Pulse. So, you know, this doesn't one-hit KO me in any way, so I just take this opportunity to get up rocks and I can freeze dry the next turn. So that's what I do. Stealth Rock as he goes for Dragon Pulse, revealing his other stab. There's 82. And now I can go for a freeze dry, which I do. And he switches into Rotom thinking it's safe, but of course it pays off here and he dies on the switching. Now, you know, keeping the Amphi at 39 after rocks and its slow speed, I don't mind, you know, he can do that. Yeah, so here he sends in P2 and I'm thinking I can just Earthquake this to hit it for damage, but you know, knowing that he knows that I have life, I think he's just going to recover. So I switch out and keep the Mamoswine as like fodder. So yeah, as you can see, he does indeed go for recover. So that Earthquake would have been a waste because he would just recover the health while I died to life. So yeah, I think now this is good. You know, Scizor is in against Porygon 2. This is a free Swords Dance. There's nothing he can do to me. And he stays in to Teleport. And he sends in Rhyperior. So here is an important play which I made. So I'm thinking, why did he send in Rhyperior against a Scizor? You know, he doesn't have the best matchup. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's like Fire Punch. He's expecting to one-hit KO me. So that's why here at +2, I know I live one Fire Punch. Because, you know, Scizor is just bulky like that, especially as a max HP. But if I superpower for more damage, I'm going to be at -1 defense. And at -1 defense, Fire Punch would most likely one-hit KO. So that's why I Bullet Punch first to keep the defense. And as you can see, that does 49. Not enough to 2-hit KO, but, you know, it's enough to keep my defense. And as you can see, it does bring Fire Punch, so he would have one-hit KO'd me. So that's why the Bullet Punch play first was important. Now, knowing that Bullet Punch won't kill at 57 because it did 49 before, now I can go for Superpower because it's going to kill and I don't have to worry about taking a Fire Punch. So that's exactly what happens. I killed the Rhyperior with superpower. Yeah, and in turn 13 he sends in a Porygon 2. I'm thinking that's an interesting play. You know, Eviolite is gone, I am at +1, and I reveal superpower. Why are you sending it out? So I'm thinking, you know, this is some kind of desperation play. He's relying on him to live, so he can probably like set up Trick Room or something. And I'm thinking, if he does set up Trick Room, that's quite a threat, because then Hooper Unbound can kind of like go ham. So rather than like roosting or setting up more, I just go for a superpower again to kill this thing straight up. And it does die, so you know, whatever he was trying to do, I prevented that. I'd rather that than like him go for Trick Room. So here, since I am now at +1 after two superpowers, Bullet Punch 1 AKO, so I do make the safe switch into my dedicated counter Drapion, which, as you can see, tanks hits for days, tanks that fire punch, reveals life or pupa, so I outspeed, and yeah, not really a worry for me. Drapion is eating hits for days. Yeah, so now here I think I go for a Leech Life. Yeah, I go for a Leech Life. I don't really want to play around with Hooper. I was just hoping to kill it there. But yeah, he makes the safe switch to Weezing Galar, fair enough, and eats that for days as I get a little recovery back. So that's helpful. Now I taunt here because you know, I'm thinking there's no way he attacks with like Sludge Bomb or Strange Stream or whatever, because I have like so many switch-ins. I have like Chandelure, I have even Sizzle, I even have like Mammoth to sack. So I'm thinking, you know, he's not gonna attack. He's gonna go for like Wisp or Toxic Spikes or something, or even Defog. So I think, yeah, Taunt is the play here. There's no way he attacks, and as you can see, it was the play because he does try to Toxic Spikes. So yeah, now that he's taunted, I go to Chandelure because it's like, it's the, you know, it's free switching, it's free sub, but I do not go for a sub because Hooper has that move Hyperspace Fury, which like hits through sub, and because we speed tie, I'd rather just like attack rather than, you know, use sub, have him send in Hooper, outspeed me and 1-8 through the sub. So I'd rather just attack here, which is what I do. I just go for Flamethrower, do a nice 40 to this thing, and I'll just go for a Flamethrower again because it's the play. You know, Hooper will take a fair amount from that, but he's not going to want to switch in. And here, so I could Flame again, but I decide to Shadow Ball. The reason for that is because obviously at this range, Shadow Ball will kill anyway, and because of this Ampharos, which I thought would be max per def, Flame plus Shadow wouldn't kill after rocks. It's that bulky, yes, especially because I don't have any special attack investment. So that's why I decided to Shadow Ball, thinking he's going to send in Ampharos. Just, I mean, I didn't really predict it. It was just like the safe play to make because I lose nothing by going for Shadow Ball. That's why I went for it. It's not really a predict. It's just like a play that covers all grounds. So it does actually pay off. I do Shadow Ball, and as you can see, this thing is now 2 KO'd after rocks. So Shadow Ball did 23, so Flamethrower would have done like 12, and that thing would have lived. Flame and Shadow, but he's not going to do 2 shadows. So yeah, it does pay off. That play does pay off, and Shandy gets the kill on this Chandelure. And now we go back to Hooper. Not wanting to risk the speed die. I don't even have to risk the speed die. I just go right into Drapion, absorb the Toxic Spikes, and outspeed it the next turn. So yeah, he's at -1. I'm thinking now I can knock, and yeah, because you know, if he switches into that, I'd rather knock off his Black Sludge, and if he stays in, knock will kill anyway because he's at -1, and Hooper's defense is quite bad. So yeah, Hooper dies, and now we just have Weezing left, and that is obviously a good game. There's nothing he can really do as I knock and just let Drapion collect the kills because he deserves it. It was good this game. So yeah, I knock it off, and that is good game to Robert. We do end up 6-0ing. Yeah, I think that went a lot better than I expected, to be honest, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think the team I bought was like very well prepared. I kind of had like everything covered. Even if you bought Dracovish, I had Trangrowth there. So yeah, I mean, all in all, good try, Robert. Good game, and see you guys next time.